I want to fly straight into the big story. You may have seen it last night. And I suppose the best place to start is with the ESPN report from Rob Dawson. Graham Potter has been informally sounded out about his plans for the future by Ineos. And Jean-Claude Blanc has been inundated with calls from agents pushing for the claims of their manager clients. What are your thoughts about this? We're not going to mess about. Start a poll. Would you take Potter as Manchester United manager? There we go. Straight away, just get into that, because I want to talk about that in a minute, but I want to talk about how we're potentially getting to this point. How do you go from Erik ten Hag in charge of Manchester United to Graham Potter? And what does this mean about Ineos? First of all, this could just be paper talk, but it's not the first time we've heard about Graham Potter and Manchester United and Ineos. And I spoke about it last night on the end of the 8 o'clock show. This perceived bias towards British candidates, whether it's British players, British candidates, homegrown players. Look, we don't know the future. And, Sir Jim Ratcliffe can turn up with Sir David Brailsford and all the PR in the world and all the smiles, and he could be completely and utterly useless. I don't know why people don't have that in their vocabulary. He could be completely and utterly crap at his job. And as fans, we have to keep that in mind. Be positive, hopeful, but realistic. Why is Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Ineos the saviour of Manchester United? They didn't buy Chelsea. They've not saved any other club. Why are they going to save one of the biggest institutions in football? And why are they going to be perfect owners? So we have to keep this in mind. Of course we do. And we have to be very, very aware that if you're looking at someone like Graham Potter, you might not be the right candidate for Manchester United. But on the other hand, this could also be paper talk, so we need to be very careful about that as well. But where is it all coming from, and why is it that Ten Hag is potentially facing the boot? Well, it's also in the ESPN story, and it's also very relevant, and it goes back to something that we've said before. Sources have told ESPN that Ten Hag is reluctant to give up any power in the new structure, especially his major role in the identification of transfer targets. Under his current contract, he's guaranteed a veto on all transfer decisions, but his influence is extended beyond that, leading to United signing a number of his former players or those with links to Holland. This is significant. Before we start talking about Potter, we need to talk about this. Erik ten Hag signed a contract with Manchester United. Within that contract, he had control of transfers. This was something we all celebrated when he got the job, because when he got the job, he was this amazingly exciting coach from Ajax who built Ajax into a very, very good attacking side. And he was given control to do that. At Manchester United, it's been a bit of a mixed bag. There has been good signings, there has been bad signings, and now there is a feeling that Man United need to be more Man City. They need to be more Newcastle. They need to be more Liverpool. You've got to have a coach that you listen to who tells you what he needs, but you also need a recruitment team around him to say no sometimes or find better options. And that's the balance that Manchester United certainly do need. Erik ten Hag is going to kick back against this because the contract he signed was not to be a coach. He was given the reassurances that not only would he be a coach, he'd have a big say in signings, and he wants to retain that say. This puts him on a collision course with Ineos, because I believe that there is a big possibility that what Ineos want to do and what Sir Jim Ratcliffe wants to do is create something that's actually not what Man City do, and it's not what Liverpool do. It's what in a way, I think it's what Chelsea have done, where the coach doesn't really have a say in signings. He gets given the signings, and there is a recruitment team that decide it. And Chelsea aren't the only club that've done this. So I think Manchester United might well be going from one extreme to another, where you've got a coach who's got a lot of say on transfers to a coach who has no say on transfers, and that's dictated to by a recruitment team, probably headed up by Paul Mitchell, Dan Ashworth and Blanc. And I understand Ten Hag's position on that, to be honest. If I was a manager and I was being told you can stay, but you're not going to have any say on signings, we're going to do it ourselves, that's a very big change in your job description. But if you restrict that, then you're going to get kickback from the manager, who then there might be a breaking down of the relationship here. And I think this is where the Potter thing comes into play. If you bear with me, You're going to go from Ten Hag, who's got some power in the transfer market, to no power in the transfer market, which makes him feel undermined and unable to do his job. You then bring someone like Potter in, who's happy to be a puppet on a string, and I'll just coach the players, you give me the players. I think that the obvious solution here is to do what Man City do, to do what Liverpool do. You have strong sporting directors who sometimes say no, but also work hand in hand with the coach who tells them things they want, and you work together. That's the ideal melting point that Manchester United need to be at. But that might be why they're not wanting to do that, because they want people who have got total control. I don't think a sporting director having total control of transfers is a good idea. I think you've got to work in hand with the manager. But look, as it says, Ten Hag facing the boot, question mark. Apparently, from the meetings yesterday, Sir Jim Ratcliffe met with certain players, staff and the manager, and the conversations were positive. I mean, look, as I said last night, I'm not really in the mood for that. But I understand it, but I'm not really in the mood for that. I don't think... There's nothing about this sale that makes me think, let's all hold hands and be happy and positive. The club is a shit heap. That is the bottom line. Breaking news. The club is a shit heap. And smiling and shaking hands with people isn't going to make it any better. We need to sack people. We need to sell players. We need to be ruthless. And we need fear in that football club. Smiling, you know, we're not REM, smiley, happy people holding hands. We actually need some fear in that football club. So hopefully this is just polite behaviour from Ineos to come in and go, hello, we are the new footballing side. But, you know, smiling and, you know... And also, can I just say as well, it just popped into my head there, if you take away transfer control from the manager, you let players win at this football club. Look at Chelsea over the last 12 months. It was reported that Tuchel had his transfer control taken away, that Potter never had any, that Lampard never had any, and Poch's is limited. And player power is winning at Chelsea. They're not consistent, and they're not successful. You take away transfer control from the manager or transfer input from the manager, what does the manager become? Weak. He just becomes the coach. He's not involved in contracts. He's not involved in signing players. And that is the worst thing you could do with this Manchester United squad. There has to be fear and there has to be leadership. And the manager has to be a big part of that. How does West Ham go for Alvarez, Kudus, Paqueta, and you only buy over-expensive bullshit players? Dutch managers tend to go for Dutch players or Dutch league. I hope this can change now for the better, says Vitor. If Potter comes in, I'm already Potter out, says Ray. Yes, it is extreme, but how can Ineos think Potter is an opinion, is beyond an option, is beyond me, says Ray Carl. And NBA Valentino, welcome to the Members Club. Thank you very much for supporting the channel. So, right, let's move it on to Potter for a moment then. So Ten Hag is in a precarious position because of results, we know that. Ten Hag is in a defiant position because he doesn't want to lose control, which he was guaranteed when he took the job. There is a contract issue here, by the way. The contract that Ten Hag signed may well say that he's got a veto on transfers. Ineos can't just rip that contract up without sacking him. They basically have to say to him, we want to take that out of your contract and keep you. And if Ten Hag says no, then they're going to have to sack him, or they're going to have to let him have that veto. So they can't just tear up his contract without sacking him, or without Ten Hag willingly changing the terms of his contract. So he has a right to negotiate, because the contract he signed is very different. But why are Manchester United looking at Graham Potter, and why do we continually get these stories coming out like last night that Manchester United or Ineos have sounded out Graham Potter? I am terrified by this. I believe it must be coming from somebody close to Ineos, because it's not the first time it's come out. I've heard some people say it's not the end of the world if we get Potter, because the structure's going to change. And what they mean by that is Potter will just come in as a puppet, as a coach, whilst people above him control the transfer policy. But this doesn't work. This doesn't work. You can't have a manager who's just a coach, who's not involved in who goes, who buys, who gets a new contract. That's ridiculous. That is absolutely ridiculous. It won't work in the Premier League, and it'd be a stupid idea to do it, and it'd be a stupid idea to think that you have reinvented the wheel in the Premier League and do that. Hi, I'm Mark Goldbridge. That's the end of the clip. I'm sure you enjoyed it. In fact, I bet that's the best clip you've ever watched. So there's no reason not to subscribe to the channel. Click the bell icon so you never miss a clip again. In fact, smash a like on the video because we all know only legends like videos and you are all legends. So please smash a like on the video and we will see you again on the next one. Thank you very much for watching as always.